Awesome. Welcome to the Invisible to Invincible Summit. I hope that you've been enjoying the videos that you've been watching and the ones to come, because there's some really golden nuggets in every single one of these speakers. Going from invisible to invincible, it takes a state of mind that's going to have you to see that, you know what, I am no longer this quiet individual and I'm ready to rock and roll and I'm ready to share my voice with the world. Where our next speaker is Nancy Lockhart. I love Nancy. I met her recently, like within the last year, and I think it was through Clubhouse. And she joined my Clubhouse challenge, which was a point of showing people how to become visible on Clubhouse, was what it was really all about. And so Nancy is a branding, she helps people with their branding and their marketing. And so Nancy, I'm excited to hear what you have to share, because today your topic is beyond the logo. And I'm really curious to hear how that fits with invincibility. So Nancy, take it away. It's all yours.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Linda. I wanted to share my screen. So am I able to just do that? I think. Am I able to do that?
Let me see. Hold on a second. Can you start without sharing it and let me figure out what I need to do?
Sure. So, well, first of all, I just want to say, oh my gosh, how lucky am I to go after Whitney? I am pumped up. I'm excited to be here. I'm honored to be with these women who we all shared a chapter in the book, Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. And man, coming off of Whitney, I am pumped up and I have some to-dos to certainly do. I did want to, when we get the screen up, the title of my talk is Beyond the Logo. And as Linda said, I am a marketing and branding specialist. And so what I wanted to talk a little bit about was how we can go from, just how people see us and how we present ourselves to what's really going on behind the scenes. And actually, it was really cool to hear Whitney's presentation, because there's a lot of overlap that I wanted to share, and then also kind of do some fun comparisons with some popular brands when we get the screen up.
Nancy, you should have availability to share your screen, so please try again.
Okay, let's see. It looks like I got it now. All right. So beyond the logo, as I said, I will give you a little bit more about the title, but first of all, I wanted to share some information about me. My name is Nancy Lockhart. I wear many hats. And so first and foremost, I'm a mom. I have 2 daughters that I love and I'm very proud of. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a brand strategist. I'm a certified law of attraction life coach. I'm an executive advisor at University of California, Santa Barbara. I have a live stream podcast and it is called Beyond the Logo. And thanks to Linda and all of these wonderful women, I am a best-selling author. So those are the things I do, the what that I do. How do I do it? I take my 25 plus years of creating iconic corporate brands and I combine it with my law of attraction life coaching to really kind of help people to, and with the help of Linda, came up with my tagline of unlock the heart of your business. So really going beyond just kind of the what we see on the outside, but to really dig deep into the heart of your business. And then finally, why do I do it? And I think this is really key, and we'll talk a lot about this in the presentation. I had a powerful realization, and I talk a lot about it in my chapter in the book. My chapter's 21, a fairy tale. But I really learned that I didn't have to follow the rules that were set up for me, that I had either thought were set up for me by outside influences or that I had put for myself. And I started to learn that once I didn't have to follow those rules, I really gave myself permission to be a powerful person, to redefine my life and how I saw myself and how I valued myself. And then I realized that I was really being called, and where I got a lot of my joy was from helping other people to walk through that process as well. And I primarily do that through people's businesses, but at being a law of attraction life coach, I also help people personally if that's where they want to engage. But overall, my why is I'm driven to help people to discover their potential, align with their purpose, and enjoy their life. And I think, the reason why I wanted to take you guys through a little bit about me is one of my very favorite brand strategists in the world is Simon Sinek. And he created the Golden Circle. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but what it does is really kind of goes through what I just did. So we often start out with what do we do? What is our logo? What is our title? How do we define ourselves? When you go to a cocktail party, do people, you say, oh, so what do you do? And then you list your, all the many hats that you wear. And we definitely wear many hats. How you do it is kind of your secret sauce. What makes you unique? What's your unique selling proposition? Is something that sets you apart. But the key is, why do you do it? Like I said, I had to go through a lot of self-searching and discovery through my own story to figure out what my why was. And, I had been, I was married, I went to college, I joined corporate marketing. I started doing work that I thought was very important to me, but it truly wasn't getting to my why and the heart of what I do. So I think what's important is, in order for us to kind of redefine who we are and to go from invisible to invincible, it's super important to start with your why. And Whitney talked about that as well. Your vision and your mission and your purpose in life. And so I thought I often do this with some of my corporate clients, is going through this from a business perspective, but it's equally as effective from a personal perspective as well. So, achieving my why, as I stated, my secret sauce, my unique selling proposition is combining that brand strategy background and marketing background with my law of attraction coaching procedures. And I think one of the keys is, regardless of what you're talking about, whether it's an individual or a business, a brand is very much like a person, and it needs to be talked about like a person. So whether you're going into a project looking to redefine your business or yourself, when you're looking at it from a business perspective, think about brands as people. And if you think about it, well-developed brands have goals, they have families, they have struggles, they have values, they have jobs, they have families, they have partners. So it's very easy to make that transition. And often it becomes easier when you're thinking about a business to think about it as like, oh, this is a person. It might be a reflection of who I am, but what are the pieces of me that are reflected in here? And how do I continue to grow and move forward? Continue to go from invisible to invincible. So, just a little bit more information about that. When you're thinking about a brand, you want to start with the brand's why. So that really is the foundational work, your vision, your mission, your values. Again, Whitney had alluded to that, and understanding that. And once you get really clear on that, you start to look at who is your target market, what's the situation that your business is in, what are the pain points you're realizing, what's stopping you from achieving everything that you want to achieve, what are your opportunities for growth, how can you achieve that growth, and then how do you maintain that growth. So that's how you would do it for, from a brand strategy perspective, how you would do it for a business. And it's very similar to how you would do it from a life coaching perspective. If you want to change your mindset, if you want to take on those new challenges, it's really important to understand and ground yourself in your why. What is important to you? What is your purpose? What drives you? And who do you do this for? Once you get that for yourself, like who are the people, who is close to you that it's really important for you to connect with? What's your current situation? Obviously, we have gone through, quite a bit of life. I'll say I have gone through quite a bit of life, and I've gone through several situations in my life. And some of those are pain points where I don't like to be in that particular situation. So recognizing that and then determining what are my opportunities to grow from that, to go again once from invisible to invincible. How can I achieve that growth, and how can I maintain that growth moving forward so that I can start the process again to continue to grow? So what I wanted to do is a little exercise with you guys. And since I'm a brand person, I wanted to talk about some categories of brands and familiar brands, and kind of get you guys to be thinking about how they put themselves out there, how you perceive them, and if they make connections. So we're going to talk a little bit about coffee. I am a Starbucks fan. I am not being paid to do this. We're going to talk about phones, and we're going to talk about fashion. So first of all, we're going to talk about the coffee. So I picked 3 brands in each one of these categories. And if you guys want to either put stuff in the chat or, just do stuff on your own, that's fine. Just kind of want you to think about what your perceptions are about these 3 different brands that happen to sell coffee. Let's see, let me see the chat. Anybody have, I don't drink coffee, but I love 7-Eleven hot chocolate. Very cool, Linda. Well, it's interesting because when people think of 7-Eleven, they might not think of the most premium coffee in the world, but 7-Eleven's whole positioning is really about convenience. And I think that what's also important about that is that they were one of the first big organizations to offer coffee on the go. So they were innovative, although you may not think about them in that way. Their real claim to fame is convenience and convenience, not affordability. When 7-Eleven has many childhood memories. And it's interesting because they can leverage some of the other ways. If we're talking just about coffee at 7-Eleven, that may be a very narrow part of 7-Eleven, but it does drive business. It gets people in the door. Slurpees, we all love the Slurpees. What is it? The monster where you take all the different kinds of drinks. Anyway, but Dunkin' Donuts is becoming as popular as Starbucks. Exactly, Melody. I think, it's interesting because Dunkin' Donuts, their positioning is really about, you initially often think of donuts when you think of Dunkin' Donuts, and rightly so, but they've really put a lot of effort into promoting and becoming one of the, premier coffee houses, and in competition with Starbucks. However, they're really about creating an atmosphere of value. So creating the opportunity to get your pastries and your good coffee at a good price, and also they're encouraging people to come into their shops. Some of that's a little bit tabled because of the pandemic, but that is kind of their positioning, is to create something unique. Where you look at Starbucks, and Starbucks is really all about the experience and the environment, regardless of whether you go into the store and have your coffee or do your work, or you go through the drive-through, which I do every morning. But it's still the experience. The people know to give my puppy a pup cup, and they know, they ask me what I'm doing today, and I was proud to tell them about this. and I even signed a copy of the book and gave it to my Starbucks friends. So building that relationship is really an important keystone for Starbucks. And as a company and as an organization, from the top down, they train their employees to align with those brand core assets or facets of their businesses. So just an interesting kind of look at a particular category. So we're going to go to the next one, I think. Okay. Nope, we went too far. Okay, we're going to go to smartphones. Now, this one is a little bit of a different category. It's a little less differentiated. I've highlighted Google Pixel, the iPhone, the Apple iPhone, and Samsung. And when you think about these phones, you might, people are diehard Android or diehard iOS, Apple users, iOS system. But the way they've positioned themselves is quite interesting, because Google Pixel, taking on from Google, it's really about access to information. And so they're borrowing from their parent and using a tool in which to do that. And that's how they're driving the development of their phones. The iPhone is really about thinking differently, being ahead of the game, creating an experience. Linda, you love your Droid. Nobody thinks down on you. Nobody thinks down on you, Linda. You're cool. You're avant-garde. You have more, the whole thing about the Android market is that people have more control. They have more personalization because they're not tied to that iOS system. So, and it's interesting that your perception is so that the Apple people look down on me. Quite honestly, it's easier to do Apple, but you're very confined. Now, I'm an Apple user, so I don't want to bash my brand, but I have thought about the kind of the differences. And when you're comparing, then you have Samsung, who is very much in competition with Apple, but they're really trying to lay the claim to innovation and to being smart. So with the Google Pixel, sometimes that can be seen as maybe a little bit of a more affordable access to smartphones, where you have the iPhone and the Samsung being a little bit of a more direct competition. Brands we love, we champion them. So anyway, the next one that I want to go into is fashion. So obviously these are the brands that I'm highlighting have some different approaches to the marketplace. When you think of Gucci, they're really hanging their hats on being a luxury brand, being, the first most, it's very expensive, very kind of avant-garde, but there is a niche and a place for that, and that's where they want to be. Nike is about athletes and supporting athletes and inspiring them to be their very, very best. And then Levi's, like we see in some of the comments, is about affordability, about fashion, but something that's accessible and relatable. And it also has a very strong, kind of USA tie to itself, the kind of the good old USA with, the Levi's jeans. So I think, it's interesting to see how they're positioned. They're all selling clothes, but very different ways in which they're approaching the sale of their offerings. So in thinking about that, it's really I wanted to get you guys to be thinking about how you perceive yourself and how you want to present yourself outside to the outside world. I'm Gucci with my Levi's. I love that, Maria. Valentina, Nike. Yeah, got it. We all, especially when it starts to come to something, all of these categories, but they become very personalized in representations of how we want to present ourselves in the world. So you can see how the brands themselves start to become an extension of who we are. And so how we think about positioning ourselves in life or in business, it's really important to be grounded in that foundational vision, mission, values across the board. So let's go to the next slide, where we get into a little bit of some questions. And again, you guys just take this, we went through some of the different brands, but if you had to choose a brand that represents you right now, which one would that be? And it doesn't necessarily mean it's your favorite brand. It's just where you are right now. And if you thought of a brand that represents your future self, where would you be? Would, kind of think about, what would I look like? How would I see myself as that future brand? And then ask yourself, is there a gap? There may not be, and good for you if there isn't. But if there is a gap, it's important to recognize, I want to go somewhere else. So when we do that, we take specific steps to close the gap. Number one, we recognize that there is a gap. We understand, like, I want to do something different. I want to be something different. I want to reposition myself. We acknowledge why we're at the place where we're at, because normally there's some sort of benefit that we're getting from being where we're at. And then going into forgiving yourself. Sometimes we're so quick to judge ourselves and to put ourselves down. And I think when you're looking at what all of us are talking about in this invisible to invincible, you know what? We're on a journey and we're making strides to move forward. And then take action and close the gap. But really, it's important, once again, to think about that golden circle. Start from the inside out. Know what's going on inside so that you can make effective change externally. So I'm going to go through an example. Let's say you have a business and you are not charging what your product or service is worth, and you want to go to charging what your product or service is worth. The recognition would be, hey, my services are priced lower than my competition. The awareness is, why am I doing that? I price them this way because maybe my competition is better. Maybe people will think I'm a fraud. What if I disappoint my clients? And it's really important to ask yourself, what benefit do you get from being in this spot? And in this case, it could be, maybe they'll easily forgive me if I don't provide the level of service or product offering. I won't disappoint them because I'm not charging them as much as my competition. And then recognize, again, forgive yourself. It's okay. I'm learning, I'm gaining confidence. I'm starting this out, so I want to continue to grow and gain that confidence, and then close the gap. Recognize, in this particular example, my service is valuable. I provide important information. I am an expert in this area. And like Linda says, take action. Reprice your offering, promote what you do, gain that confidence from within, but start from within and go externally. So I know I gave you guys a lot of information in a short amount of time, and I just wanted to see if we have, Linda, do we have time for any questions?
Yes, we have, we have 5 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions, please either raise your little hand. Nancy, you want to take that off of the screen so we can see your beautiful face there?
Yes.
If you have any questions, or raise your little hand, or you can ask the questions in the chat there. And first of all, great job, Nancy. I feel like I'm coach now, but I aspire to be Chanel. Yeah. Well, so it's interesting there, right? Because some people might feel like Chanel is better. I mean that coach is better. And so what's interesting is it's all about perception, right? Our own perceptions about who we are, who we're showing up as, our own perceptions of who they are and what they're showing up as. I'm a great example is, a lot of people think I'm more squared away than I really am, like I know what's going on in my world, and but when I show up, I guess it appears that it's a different kind of confidence, which is kind of interesting, because I'm moving into that space. I'm still in the process of moving into that next level, right? But the perception on the outside is that I'm at that next level, which is kind of interesting. I'm not trying to put out that perception, but here's why I say this, is because you're here at the Invisible to Invincible Summit, right? So with myself, I'm seeing myself in one way, but what I'm projecting is the way that I want to be. I just don't know I'm there yet.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting, Linda, because you do have a very iconic brand and positioning. You're very accessible. You're a leader. You're a supporter, and I know when I first met you, I was like, wow, she is. She's got her act together. She's on the ball. And then you're completely generous in helping all of us authors, and your brand was like, I do think what you perceived and what you are and how you present yourself, it's sometimes it's amazing, but you're not afraid to talk about that gap too, so that you make it very accessible for us as, you know, people that are working with you to go, okay, it's okay to not, I might be presenting myself, I just have to get in line with what I'm being perceived as. So kudos to you. And you know that I love you very much, and I appreciate everything that you've done for me in my business. But yeah, she is amazing.
Well, you know,
So,
it's, well, I want to stop you there because I'm going to use that as a testimonial, by the way. So thank you so much.
You may.
And that wasn't the intention, of course. My point here was that, you know, our brand, Nancy, correct me if I'm wrong, we are walking around as our brand right now. Everywhere you go, people are deciding who you are. So here's the question. Do you want to decide who you are and show up as that person? Or are you going to let them, you know, lead you to that person? Now, fortunately, because of all those wonderful things you just said about me, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is who I want to believe I am. So I am that brand. I'm walking around as that brand, but I'm just not there emotionally or mentally speaking, saying that I believe that's who I am yet. So it's kind of interesting as we're making this realization through, you know, walking our brand. So I want you to talk about, like, on a personal brand level. Let's talk about that. We've got like 2 minutes left. Talk on a personal brand level. How can somebody decide like who they want to be and then move into that position? Branding wise, move into that position.
Yeah, well, you know, this whole exercise is kind of fun but eye-opening, and I actually do, and we talked about, you know, that I have a freebie that's what is your brand, and kind of understanding what your values are, how you perceive yourself, what do you like to do, what do you like to drink, what do you like to eat, where do you like to go on vacation, and then you get to be defined as like, oh, well, this is the type of brand that you would be. It's a fun game, but it really gets you thinking about what are the things that I value and it is important for me? How does that reflect into my outer appearance with other people? So I would say, if you're interested, go to Lockhart-marketing.com. There's a freebie section, go there. Or you can get in touch with me. I'd love to talk with you. I'm offering a free half-hour session with the summit. So if you're interested, curious, please give me a call. I love making new friends. I love helping people, like I said, my why. And if I can help you in any way, I'd love to do it, because I've gained so much through my journey, and leveraging my background in marketing, hopefully can be beneficial to all of you. And thank you so much, Linda, for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, go and drop your contact information in the chat there. I'll also make it available on the replays. And again, these replays are going to be available. Take Nancy up on her offer.
Yes.
You know, a 30-minute call with Nancy will probably end up a little bit longer because she's
yeah.
But
I can chat.
Advantage of that 30 minutes, because it's really valuable. And just, you know, having Nancy in your corner is definitely a great person to have. Nancy, I want to thank you so much for your presentation at the Invisible to Invincible Summit. And thanks for being part of our book, Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. You guys can get a copy of that. We're going to share, you know, for anybody who registered for the summit, we're going to be sharing the links to watch the videos, as well as the links to the free gifts. Please make sure you take advantage of those free gifts that they're offering. And we're doing something really cool. Like, I haven't announced this to all the speakers yet, but what we're doing is we're compiling all the gifts from all of our summits. So we held the Fearless Entrepreneur Summit last month. All the gifts from those speakers are available to people who register for these events. All the gifts from this event, and all from the Wellness for Winners, we're going to be doing a summit for that book as well. And so we're going to make all those links available, gifts available to everybody. So please make sure you take advantage of that. And with that said, Nancy, I want to thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you.
The summit, and it's been amazing. So I'm going to take Nancy off the screen for a second there while I'm still recording on Nancy's recording here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want you all to see our video commercial, because I love it so much. You know, and I just wanted to share that with all the books that we put together, we have Wellness for Winners is coming out in a couple weeks on February 15th. So that's super exciting. And then we have the book I read coming up in March. Many of you are participating in that. And we have more and more books that are coming up. And every single book that it makes sense to have a summit for that book, we're going to host a summit as well. So not only do we publish a book, we're not just about publishing a book. That's not what this is about. This is about sharing your stories with the world to make a greater impact on the planet. That's our mission at Action Takers Publishing, is to make a greater impact on the planet. So after the book is launched and we're already done with that, we keep going. We're not here about just publishing your book and getting your story out there. We want to help keep you getting out there. So with that said, I'm going to show our video commercial quickly here, except I don't have it handy. I thought I had it ready. Forget it. I can't find it. Okay. I'll come back to that later. Oh, here it is. I found it. No, that's not it. Everybody, bear with me as I stop recording.